I bid you welcome. I am a little goblin who likes to do makeup, and today we're going to do a botanical goth style look complete with leafy eyeliner and flowery freckles, all while I regale you with tales of a fledgling D&D party's first few missions and how in finding themselves they may have also found ways to completely mess up everyone else's lives. So let's get into it. Our journey began with the fall of the Virgin Republics. A simple task given to us: escort Barbarous to the city of Damius. Simple enough. The group consisted of myself, a dark elf with amnesia. The only thing was my skills, my wits, and no sense of remorse. Matched with our little tiefling, Temperance. She is trying to make sense of her life in a world matched with bigotry and hatred. And then we've got Sasha, our lusty, very lusty, played by Frank, mind you, our lusty and beautiful barbarian trying to sweep a man off of his feet and settle down. And our final member, Saitama, the worst monk in the whole world. A monk looking for peace in the bottom of a coin purse. Our journey began with the fall of the Virgin Republics. Our group, Danafe, Dawnbreaker, a dark elf with amnesia. The only thing she had were her skills and her wits. No memories of her past, where she came from, how she even got to the surface. Then we have Temperance, an abandoned tiefling trying to make it in a world of violence and bigotry. Our next, band of green wall is Sasha, our lusty fighter, looking to sweep a man off of his feet and settle down and live the good life. Finally, we have Saitama, the worst monk who ever lived, searching for peace at the bottom of a coin purse. I really wish I hadn't hit my throat there. It was kind of sounding nice until I decided to be a didgeridoo for a second. The road was long, winding through open plains, guarded checkpoints, and ruined villages bearing the scars of conflicts past. Tensions ran low, spirits were high, until Danafe made a disturbing discovery. Barbarous was hiding something. Perhaps something dangerous? One night, while the campfire was burning really low and everyone else had fallen asleep, Danafe decided to rummage through Barbarous's belongings, and wouldn't you know what she found? A bomb, and a big one at that, carefully hidden in a compartment and concealed by some cloth and old armor plating. And despite the gravity of what she had found, Danafe didn't tell anybody. Whether it be fear, uncertainty, or some deep-rooted strategic patience that this narrator is bestowing upon her, she held her tongue. The group entered Damius the next day as planned, with no one but Danafe aware of the dangers ticking in their midst. They dropped him off, obtained their coin, and before they could leave the next day, the bomb detonated one of the Republic's state buildings, the Damius Trade Depot, a towering structure of bureaucracy and history reduced to rubble. Smoke choked the skylines, Screams were echoing all around, and madness occurred, and a huge piece of the Republic was now gone forever. All because, well, we could blame Barbarous, but we could also blame Danafay, who just didn't say anything and stood idly by while all of this tragedy was occurring around her. And thus we have the aftermath, the chaos that followed. Immediately after the blast, the group began investigating the ruins, searching for maybe some reason this bomb went off. Danafay admitting boldly to her group that she was aware of the bomb, but didn't know what he was gonna do with it. It's a bomb. Anyway, ashes still smoldering under their boots, they searched for clues, and they did find. Among the wreckage, Danafay discovered a ledger, partially scorched but still legible. And meanwhile, Sasha began to search to hunt down Barbarous. Every time I say that, I think of the Skyrim little doggy. Everything leads back to Skyrim in these days, I guess. At first, Sasha and the monk did not discover Barbarous's location. However, they did find his belongings, and when searching, they discovered hidden inside where did I put it? They discovered hidden inside a note, scribbled in haste and folded into a leather pouch. And wouldn't you know it, what was on that paper? Directions to where that buffoon was going. And so, Sasha and Saitama went to track him down and get answers. Who hired him to bring this bomb here, and why? Why the trade depot? After some searching around and some bribing of the local wildlife, they found him. Stashed away in a bar somewhere, they coaxed him out. And when confronted with both evidence and accusation, he cracked. Claiming to have just been hired, it was just a job to him. He had no idea why, he claimed. They pressed him for more, and he said, "By a guy who knows a guy. That was all I know, I swear." Whether or not they believed him was of no consequence, you see, because Sasha killed him anyway, silencing him forever. And I'd like to be mad about that, and I will be, because who hired him? Who was this friend of a friend? We will never know now. That ledger and the notice became the group's only two leads, and they began to pore over the documents to see what they could find there, and they discovered two names amongst everything else that stood out to them. Damascus and Portel. Those two names are more important in the Virgin Republics than most other names could even begin to contend with. For you see, they were the names of two of the biggest merchants in all of not just Ramus or Damius, the entire Virgin Republics. Why was their names there, you ask? Our group was determined to find out. If Damascus and Portel were involved in this whole thing, that could spell difficulties and all sorts of casualties for the entire planet, because Damascus and Portel's influence spans continents, and their trade networks are limitless. And it appears that as Sasha continues to read, she discovers that they are indeed the ones behind hiring him to detonate this bomb. Why would they hire barbers to destroy a government building, let alone just a trade depot? For now, it seems that their questions would go unanswered, for with Barbara's dead, they really didn't have any other leads to go off of. And so, not long after this bombing happens, there seemed to be violence brewing deep down in another city of Ramis. Is that where our party was at? I don't know, maybe? It does seem that chaos is following us. We're definitely not the cause of it, not even a little bit. It is following us. You could blame us. We had only arrived in the gates as the events of the Ramis massacre were unfolding in front of us. 20 slaves had broken free of their chains and began to attack those that would hold them captive. They ransacked their slave quarters and began to attack nearby civilians in their struggle. Over 40 civilians were harmed, and this spiraled into the entire town being forced to enact martial law. Means the cops are coming. And amidst all of this chaos unfolding, our characters, I don't want to call them heroes yet, our characters are just getting into town when another proposition lands directly in their laps. A bounty. 10,000 gold for a man named Boris the Butcher. Now, Boris, this wasn't a man to be trifled with, and that is why his bounty was so high. That man was wanted across several continents for more than just murder. In fact, just hearing his name alone out in public would strike a chord with most people, and those in the underground or even in the rebel camps would shudder just a little bit at the thought of Boris the Butcher and what he had done to innocents and those who had crossed him alike. And now he was about to meet bringers of chaos. The group seemed to be uncovering something deeper than just a simple bombing. Even though those really aren't that simple. But it seemed that the group was discovering something deeper. Something larger than just someone bombing a trade depot. It seemed that this conspiracy ran deeper, and it was becoming clear that it was involving all forms of government and officials from continents all over. The Damascus and the Portel families were just the tip of the iceberg, and our bumbling buffoons were about to get the whole way to the bottom of it. But before they could begin, however, tragedy had stuck them, and Saitama found himself in jail, charged with the deaths of civilians during, you remember, the massacre of Ramis. He was involved. Our monk was trying to save slaves and found himself accidentally harming civilians. Figures. He was thrown in a high security jail in Ramis. Not all was lost, as Danafe wasn't a really bad rogue. She was dead set on getting him out, getting back their terrible monk. I don't know why, but she did. And I'm gonna attempt to put little spots around these ones. And so Saitama, sitting in jail, decided that he would do something about his predicament himself. And so, with the help of his allies on the outside, some sympathetic ones he made on the inside, and 8 militant slaves, they escaped and made their way to the Untouchables rebel camp on the outskirts of town. I kind of like that with a little bit of black. Hidden beyond the walls and the scrutiny of the rest of the town and the city, they began to hatch a plan. These rebels that they met decided that they were trustworthy enough to share their valuable information with them. And so these rebels provided our bumbling buffoon adventurers with the location of a hidden insurgents base, where they were told they might be able to get enough gold and supplies to fund the breach of Damius and Ramus, and finally take back what was rightfully the slaves. Their freedom. The journey was long and treacherous, but our group set out almost at once, only stopping to rest along the way, deciding to take mercy on the travelers they met and not bestow upon them some horrid chaos. They arrived at the hidden location, an underground base nestled in the ruins of a fallen stronghold. Oh, that's gonna be so good. Traversing these ruins, our group met many horrors along their way, found slight riches, and then they discovered a little bit of resistance, but also perhaps an unlikely ally. Boris the Butcher, a man larger than life, hardened by war but looking to start over. Clean slate, maybe looking to overthrow the very government that left him in shambles after the war, a forgotten soldier left in times past. We're looking to find out. Meeting Boris, he said to them, "You have 2 choices. Join me or die." And that was the end of our great hero. No, I'm just kidding. So they decided to help Boris in his endeavors and join his little band of rebels. He did not trust them entirely right off the bat. Completely understandable, knowing who they are. And so he said to them that they had to do one task for him, one that would help not only secure their place. Oh, why does this thing suck so much? Hang on. He had one simple job, about as simple as this job, and that was to rob a bank in Remus to help fund their attack on the entire Virgin Republic. With Boris at the helm, he intended to rule the entirety of the Virgin Republic. Sorry. Some things are a little bit harder to do while chit-chatting. Lipstick is definitely one of those. To rob a bank in Remus. And that is where we will leave our heroes for now as I go back in and fix this little thing over here. I'm not entirely sure what happened to my little lip over there, but we're gonna fix that here in a minute. That's all right. But this is where our tale will take a pause, as after I finish my lips here and throw on some lashes, my look will be finished. So I hope that you have been enjoying this tale so far. I'm doing my best to make it sound like a great epic tale instead of me just relaying what I've written to you. So I hope it's coming through. I also hope you like the little flowers and the little leaves here. It came out a little more detailed than I thought, but I also wrote a ton over there. So I will be back here momentarily. And this is it. And this is the final look for my botanical goth look. If I'm being honest, I like making the fun names if for nothing more than my own amusement. I think it's more fun than just being like flower eyeliner. We're a botanagoth this time. I hope that you enjoyed our little misadventures of D&D, and I hope that you let me know down below if you want me to continue on with the story, as we did that campaign for like 3.5, maybe 4 years. So we've got a ton going on in there, and I'd love to share it with you. But for this look, I've got a little bit of jewelry on from, oh, they just recently renamed. It's not Thistle and Thorn anymore. It's this thing over here. I'll put the name in. I've got some new earrings from them, a little bit from Cass Collective. Big old bow matched with my green top and kind of a little bit of a swashbuckling corset. Big old black puffy skirt and some chunky boots underneath. And like I said, I don't know what I want to be, but apparently it's orange and green. It's got a little bit of steampunk feel to it, a tiny bit of pirate, a little bit of elf, a little bit of poison ivy deep down in there. I'm all sorts of things right now. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see more videos like this one in the future. Like, comment, do all the things. But the most important thing, stay well, stay hydrated, stay chaotic. Bye.